Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Chinese New Year. Happy New Year. So we are heading into the year of the tiger, the water tiger, or they call it the black tiger. Black is the color for water in Chinese. I decided to wear red because red also to me is a color for the Chinese New Year, and also just to perk up the energy a little bit in the middle of winter. So I'm going to analyze the astrology of this new moon as usual, with readings for your sign as usual. But I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about the tiger year, and we might do an extra card or question for how your tiger year will go based on your sign. But Chinese astrology is quite complex. So my reading would be based on some of what I've studied, but I can't pretend to know everything there is on Chinese astrology. I did study some feng shui years ago, and I've studied it and observed it for many, many years. The basic stuff about the animals and some basics about the elements. But if you really want a more in-depth reading on what could happen for your Chinese year, you need to find a good source online that talks about the stars. You need to know, it's complex. Like I said, you'll need to know what they call your Bagua number. And your number, there's things online that can help you calculate what your core number is, and then that is put into the diagram of the 9 numbers or the 9 houses. And it moves around every year, and it tells you what directions are good for your particular year. That means on the compass. And then from there are stars that are in those houses for this year, and they can tell of good fortune or health or bad luck and all kinds of stuff. Once you start looking into it, it's quite in depth. That part I didn't study, so you could go online and take a look at a good site for that. What I'm going to do is like a general idea to help you figure out if this year is compatible with you, just your Chinese animal with a tiger, and your element of your year with the element that we're in now, which is water. So, that can give you a pretty good global idea of what kind of year you might expect. And then I'm going to also talk to you a little bit about who's compatible with who in the tiger year before we head in. But it's to me, it's quite powerful, the new moon in Aquarius, because we're in the tiger year, and Aquarius is equivalent to a tiger in the Western system. So it's like potent new year to me. Every year, the Chinese New Year is lunar calendar. So between the 20th of January and the 20th of February, the new moon will always be in Aquarius on the Chinese New Year. So that's quite interesting too, because then it sort of says that Aquarian energy rules the Chinese lunar cycle, which we wouldn't normally think of, I don't think, with China, because the Chinese actually, they revere the tiger, but on another hand, especially for women that are tigers, they're considered to be, it's not the easiest path, because the tiger likes to be very hyper independent. They're very passionate and driven. They're very smart. You can't fool them. And they're very capable of doing many things at once. They can't, they have a hard time relaxing and sitting still. And, in the wild, like, look at them. They're fine on their own. They're majestic. They're predators. And they say that a lot of tiger women will have trouble with their families or with marrying late in life because of their hyper independence. That's coming from a very old school Chinese mentality. Yeah. So we could see a lot of excitement in the tiger year. We could see a lot of action and movement. I'm expecting the year might feel like it moves fast. It might feel, and it's already feeling like that to me now, because every day there seems to be another thing or another announcement or another thing that we're bracing ourselves for, or that we're going to have to consider and adapt to. And it's starting to blow our minds most people's minds to the point where everyone's just throwing up their hands like, I can't keep up. I can't, you know, some countries are doing this with the approach to COVID now. Just, we can't keep living like this. The rebellious thing has started already, taking off the masks in England. They're just going to see how it goes to live with it. You know, there's other countries doing this too. And then you've got others that are slapping down more restrictions. The tiger will not tolerate those kind of restrictions. So depends how you feel, what your values are, whether you're for or against the masks and the mandates, the vaccines. But we definitely will see people rebelling in a tiger year. And the water means that it's an emotional tiger. So it's even more passionate. It's even more rebellious. But you know what? There's a lot of strength in this tiger and boldness. And in our personal lives, we'll probably see a lot of people, our friends, our family, or ourselves making some big, bold moves too. It's not a year of waiting and meditating on everything slowly like last year with the ox. So it's going to be quite the rock and roll time. So let's first talk about the elements and what you might expect just as an element. So 2022, it ends in a 2. There's 3 2s. 2 is a water number. So it's very watery. What does that mean? Well, issues with water. What does that mean? Water levels, sea levels, water quality, access to water, flooding, drought, anything to do with actual water on the planet will probably become heightened in 2022 and 23. Both are water years. 2 and a 3 are water years. The other thing that it does is water rules emotions. So people are going to be more emotional. So just prepare your mind. Everybody's going to be much more emotional, I would say. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but it just can be intense or hard to handle for some people. We have a threshold. And the other thing that it rules, water rules the kidneys and the bladder. The kidneys in the Chinese medicine. This is what I love about the Chinese system. It's all integrated. The health, the feng shui, how you decorate, the astrology, it's all holistic. So kidneys represent, it's winter time like it is now. Cold, dark, wet, yin, feminine energy. The kidneys represent joy and fear. So we're going to see probably a lot of people grappling with fear and also rebelling against fear and wanting to live with joy and spontaneity, or finding what makes you joyful in the face of fear. Are we going to see people or the media maybe up the ante on the fear? Probably. So there's really a battle there for giving into fear versus joy. The bladder, eliminates, right? So do the kidneys. But the bladder is literally, since it's connected, the bladder is all about territory and boundaries. Think about an animal, even the tiger. Dog's going to pee on something to mark their territory. So on that note, I would say that will definitely be going on interpersonally, emotional boundaries, territory, but also it's already starting with the Russia and Ukraine all over again, and it'll probably be in other countries, China with Taiwan. It'll be all over the place. This is mine, this is mine, this is mine, and we want it. So I'm expecting that aspect of territories and boundaries to ramp up too. So let's talk about the elements and see, is my element compatible with this year or not? So if you're born in a year with a 2 or a 3 as the ending, so even if it's 1953 or 1972, 2 and 3 are water years. So in a water year, you are supported by that element of water that's present. It could be an energizing year for you. Things could flow for you. You might feel like very at home or natural in the energy that we're about to enter into. So you've got 2 years ahead of water. If you are born in a year with a 4 or a 5, your element is wood. Wood is compatible with water. Water supports the wood. The water supports the wood that makes, wood is considered sort of like, you know, grass and trees. And so the water makes the wood grow. Wood can float on water. So you can go with the flow in a year like this, if you're born with the 4 or 5 year. The only danger with wood in nature is if it gets too waterlogged, then it will sink or it will rot. You know, I love this system for this very reason. I love all the nature metaphors that turn into emotional metaphors. So just wood, you just need to worry about not getting too bogged down or too waterlogged this year. So you might just need to just recognize your threshold of engagement, you know, or how much you can handle processing, and just let yourself go cool off or dry out in the sun. And then the rest of it, you should be able to float along with this. If you're born in a year ending in a 6 or a 7, you're a fire year. Now, fire and water, we all know what happens there. Water can put out the fire, can kill the fire. So some of you might have very low energy. You might find that the level of intensity this year is just way too much sometimes, just flattens you out, exhausts you. Or water can also be heated up by the fire and make steam. Steam can fuel things. It can heal. It can, you know, moisturize. It can fuel, you know, machinery, trains, steam engines. But again, it takes a lot of fire to turn it into steam. So fire signs, I'm just going to say, like, just watch your energy level this year. You might find you need more rest, or you want to lay low from from everybody's bold, opinionated, look at me, I'm doing this, feisty side. You might need to pull back. When it comes to Earth, that's years ending in 8 or 9. So you might be born 1968, 1999, doesn't matter, 8 or 9 is Earth. So look at Earth and water. What is that? So Earth holds the boundary for the water. If you think of the shoreline of the ocean, the sand, if you think about the rocks and the dirt all around a lake, and they hold it in place. If you think about the riverbanks that keep the river flowing in the right direction. So Earth is all about setting those boundaries and parameters, but in a good way. If it was too harsh and there was no allowance for absorbing some water into the Earth, because it's supposed to absorb a little bit of it and offset it, you know, to keep things in flow. So if you don't absorb a little bit of the emotion that's going on, you can't be super rigid, because otherwise it just bounces off, the water level rises, and then it floods, and then it's a mess. And that's a metaphor for emotions too. If your boundaries are too rigid, you'll eventually well up and burst like a dam that just bursts open. If you absorb a little bit here and there, but you keep it strong, then you can guide the emotion and you can guide the water. So it could mean some of you born in the Earth years could find yourself guiding others. You could find yourself in a leadership role if you wish. It doesn't have to be leading a protest. It could be leading like a small class or group of people, or the people at your work, or guiding your family. But there's some leadership there if you've got your boundaries intact. Now, the only thing, again, sort of like the wood can get waterlogged and rot. Earth can absorb so much water that it just becomes mud. So again, watch how much you can handle before you need breaks. And then I'd say you could be quite effective this year. If your year ends in a 0 or a 1, excuse me. If your year ends in a 0 or a 1, your element is metal. Now think about metal with water. Think about a tin roof or something. The water just, it arrives, it lands in little drops, and then it dries off. Usually the wind can blow it dry. We can wipe it clean very easily. So it's sort of like little drops of water off a duck's back. You know, you can dismiss, or not dismiss, not the best word. You don't let it get to you. You might find it interesting sometimes. The only problem we run into with water and metal would be if the metal is prolonged in the water. Again, it can rust, but that takes a long time, doesn't it? It takes an awful lot of water to weaken the metal. So you're pretty resilient, but again, sort of like the other two we just mentioned, the wood and the earth, you might want to be careful of just recognizing your threshold, but you have a higher threshold than most. Let's talk about the tiger personality a little bit. I have an article here, and if you want to read it along with me or go back to it for reference, it's called redlotusletter.com. And it's just a year of the water tiger traits and qualities. So basically the tiger traits, because they will be emphasized this year, and emphasized means, honestly, what I've noticed is in a certain Chinese year, the energy of that animal will be emphasized by things that we see online that are posted, things that we see in the stores that are available, are, you know, what style or taste or will definitely be affected by the Chinese sign. So for example, if you're not compatible with the tiger, you might not find anything, but you might not like any of the clothes this year. You might not like the colors. You might find the way people are presenting things or posting things, you know, doesn't resonate. If you are compatible with the tiger and you love it, you might think the music that comes out this year is great. The films are great. Anything innovative this year, you're like, oh my God, this is really me. I love this. So it can impact it. It can impact the overall feeling of what's okay to present, what's trendy, what do we like to see, what self-presentation is favored. You know, last year, 2021 was the ox. So we favored, you know, calm, cool, collected, under control, you know, very gradual, don't rush me, things that are more sensual and comfortable, no big moves. The tiger year is going to favor, like, you know, maybe we'll see animal prints, people being flashy, being stylish, being loud. So it's really going to change. And you might, you know, people definitely going to have their, they're going to want their moment on the podium. So we're probably going to see a lot of, I'm expecting a lot of, sorry to say, but a lot of drama online this year, because people will feel like they need to say their opinion, and they need to say it with passion, and they are going to dive in there like a cause, and they will argue, and they will fight for it now more than in the ox year and the rat year. Don't worry for all of you who are going, oh no, the year that follows, 2023, is the rabbit, and the rabbit likes things peaceful. So we're talking about 1 year where we're going to see a lot of things move. Okay. So it says here, tigers are affectionate, loyal, sincere, and love to have a good time. That's true. We should probably see a lot more partying this year as we can. They'll give all they can of themselves, and they'll take up humanitarian efforts. Yes. Causes will be very big this year. Save the this. Don't do that. These people's rights, inclusivity of this and that. Look, we're already in it. We already have that, thank goodness, but it's going to ramp. It's going to ramp up even further. A tiger likes to set the pace for his life and doesn't like being told how he has to live. That's the big thing this year. Tiger doesn't want to be told how to live. Imagine what that's going to do for this year. If the pressure is applied to a tiger, they can lash out impulsively, and then they can beg forgiveness after. But they're born leaders, they're ambitious and loving. Ask the tiger what they think, and you will get unvarnished candor. That's very true. They are uncompromising. So they're brave, they're bold, they can be romantic and seductive. It says, while this is a good year for friends of the tiger, like pigs, dogs, and horses, the enemy of the tiger is the monkey. And that sign, and the sign that creates what's called, it says, a fire penalty, the snake, may have some downsides in a tiger year. So let's take a look further here. Yeah, they are intelligent, like to come up with new ideas and solutions. And they really do genuinely, passionately care about things, about people, about the world. You know, think about Greta, you know, how passionate she was at 13 years old to stand on the world stage about climate change. We might see a lot more of this kind of thing from more different people, many more different people. You know, her intensity and caring and concern was fierce, wasn't it? You know, and sincere. And this is very tiger-like. I'm not sure if she is a tiger, but that's the energy. It's sort of like Greta Thunberg there. You're going to see a lot of people in that state. Doesn't matter what it's about. Could be somebody who's suddenly hell-bent about something in your condo board. Somebody's suddenly hell-bent about something in your workplace that just has to change, and they're on a mission and it's a cause. Other people will throw it into causes, you know, saving animals, or so we're going to see a lot of that, and you might want to think about that for yourself. Is that you? Is it time that you joined also something of a cause, or something that you genuinely, passionately care about, and give some time to it? So it's a good year to think about that. Let's take a look at who are some famous tigers now. So Queen Elizabeth II. Oh, 1 second. So we have some famous tigers to look at, and we might see something of them represented this year. Now, if some of these famous people have passed, but in a tiger year, maybe we see a revival. Maybe we see nostalgia items around them. Maybe somebody does a cover tune of theirs or remakes a movie of theirs, type of thing. So that's one thing to look for. First famous tiger here is Queen Elizabeth II. So that means that she's 84. And what year does that make her born? I can't calculate right now. But a tiger, if it's her own tiger year, she might need to be careful. The Chinese basically say that in our own Chinese year, our health can be compromised. So I pray that she's all right this year. But yeah, Queen Elizabeth, Fidel Castro, Marilyn Monroe, Jerry Lewis. We've got Demi Moore. So we can see if Demi Moore comes back in the spotlight. Joe DiMaggio, the Ayatollah Khomeini, Steve Irwin, oh yeah, John Candy, Joe Lewis, Stevie Wonder, Christian Bale, Bill Murray, Victoria Beckham. So we've got some big celebrity names there to look at here. So see if you feel anything in common with them since you know they're tigers now. Can you see the bold, passionate side? Certainly Marilyn Monroe, you can see the seductive side of a tiger, the intensity. So you might want to go to this site if you want to see more of what they are predicting, because I'm not going to get into that. Again, it's redlotusletter.com and the water tiger. This author makes some predictions of what they're expecting for the world. Overall, though, tiger qualities to adopt in our lives. The energetic lesson, if you will. Let's take a look at that. The ox here, they said was just keep on keeping on. The tiger, you can feel, is ready to act swiftly. You can feel the speed building even before the year arrives. I think we can all agree that it's there. The lesson of the tiger year is not to waffle and dilly-dally and sit on your hands, it says. It's not about, oh, I don't know, should I? I'm not sure, maybe. Well, let's wait. The tiger is like, sees it and pounces. So it's not a year to hold off on opportunities that come. If they're offered to you, you got to decide quickly and act. Otherwise, you might miss them. They're not going to hang around waiting for you. If you want to do something, do it now. Be decisive and potent. It said, last year, the ox would gladly sit in a lotus position and could be hard as a bull to move, which is true. This year, no way. It's time to get moving again, building inroads, exploring new things in your life, new relationships, new business, whole new energies opening up. So I think that's quite interesting. Now let's take a look. I will share the screen and we'll take a look at who's compatible, Chinese animals, with the tiger. So if you see this little chart, we've got our cute little tiger. The tiger and the rat, so-so. Nothing bad, nothing great. So if you're a rat, you know, pretty even keel, don't worry about anything too dramatic. The ox, not the greatest match with the tiger. Tigers and other tigers, not the greatest match either. Rabbit, so-so. If you're a dragon, could be a great year. Snake, not so easy. Horse, very compatible. The sheep or the goat, they can be friends. Not great for the monkeys. Roosters and dogs, complementary, so workable. And the pig could also be good. So, which one are you? So I want you to think for a second about the element that you are, the last number of your birth year. And then think about the compatibility chart of the animals. And you might start to get sort of an idea how to play out your energy for this year. All right. Now I'm going to go to our astrology chart and take a look at what's going on in the planets for this new moon as usual. So I neglected to mention beforehand, but if you are interested to work with me for a private reading, or you appreciate the videos that I give out, the free content I give out, I have my Patreon link below. If you want to make a donation, that's appreciated. And please, like, follow, share, all that stuff. And let's dive into this new moon in Aquarius. Now, as I mentioned, the Aquarius is the equivalent of the tiger. So the new moon in Aquarius in a tiger year feels like a big kickstart to the year. So let's take a look at the chart. All right. So as usual, the chart is done for Eastern time zone. And because it's a Chinese New Year as well as the new moon, this is sort of a chart of the year. It's for the moon, yes, for the next, what we're going to feel over the next few days or a week before and after. But really, it's casting the chart of the tiger year. So think about it for right now, but think about it in terms of the year at large for the Eastern time zone. It's going to be a Scorpio rising. Look out, boys. Look out. This is strong. This is a water sign. This is a passionate sign. This is a fierce, will not back down if they're riled. This is also a secretive, covert, strategic sign. It's interesting to me because it could mean that a lot of the emotion and passion is below the surface. Look at all the planets below the surface, almost everything. This, for me, means suppressed emotion. It means it's harder to get in touch with those feelings, which then lends itself more to things building up and erupting. Yeah. Now, let's take a look. So down here we have our sun and moon right here at 12 degrees, pretty much at the bottom of the chart, which is 21. It's, it's within 9 degrees. It's not quite on the IC. I bring that up though, because we've got Saturn that is close to the IC with the sun and moon. What does that do? Very powerful for activating change. Anytime planets hit these four directions, the AC, MC, DC, or IC in our charts, that's when everything starts to change outwardly, not inwardly. And the IC is all about your roots and your home life and your homeland. So with those planets sitting right on it, I'm going to say that there are probably lots of you wondering about where to live, where to move, what to do with your house, family members that are here or abroad, or that you wish would move, or you move close to them, or it just feels like all kinds of migration and moving around this year. Officially, though, these planets are in the third house, along with Mercury and Pluto sitting there together in Capricorn. The third house is all about, it can be siblings. So that's interesting. You might be going through something big with your siblings right now. Meaning what? Well, Mercury, Pluto could bring power trips, competitions, one dominating the other, or it could bring out very deep conversations, very transformational conversations, could bring you a lot closer, or it could split you apart with Pluto. Pluto, death and rebirth, allowing Mercury, communication and thinking. So that could be happening. Sun and moon and Saturn in Aquarius. It's interesting Saturn's sitting on this, because then it, even though it's suppressed under the surface, which means like, no, I'm fine. And then, no, I'm not fine. And you flip. Saturn is going to keep it much more contained than that, which means one of two things. Either you're going to keep things to yourself or deeper in a way that it's more controlled and you can sustain it without having too much roller coaster. In some cases, though, it means when it does blow the lid, it's going to blow the lid and throw the chair out the window, kind of. Because Pluto and Mercury there, we're definitely seeing this right now, aren't we? With standoffs and protests and so much division amongst people. People wanting to be liberated from stuff. And yeah, the powers that be trying to keep controls on things. This is really intense, this third house. The other way that the third house plays out is all about, besides our siblings, it's generally our mind and our communication. When I had Pluto going through my third house in my life, which was many years ago, that's when I first developed my intuition and mediumship gifts. So Mercury Pluto in the third house can also bring that to everyone as well. It shifts so much the way you're thinking. So this chart to me looks like you're in a time, we're all in a time where our thinking is being dramatically challenged, and our global thinking. And it'll likely continue for the year based on this chart. This year, we have to be prepared for all kinds of surprises within the world and ourselves that could really change. You might find by the end of the year, you're on a different side of the fence than you were at the beginning of it. You know, and Mercury, Pluto, with all that Sun, Saturn, I mean, could people be trying to pull you in that direction, or push you, or gaslight you, or bully you into that direction? Possible. The third house can also be our communities, our local or intimate communities. So if it's not happening to you vis-a-vis siblings, it could be some of the groups you belong to, but it could be quite intense, heavy-handed. In other ways, if you find the right resonance with the right tribe, it could be extremely powerful what you feel together. It's got the potential for both. The other interesting thing in the chart, if you take a look, is that this is our first Uranus square of the year, which is another interesting way to go into the year with a bang, okay? The next Uranus square is going to happen in August of this year, and Mars is going to line up with that Uranus square in August. That one I'm a little more concerned for than this one. But Uranus squaring Sun, Moon, and Saturn, again, it's the energy of a stubborn standoff. You know, the David and Goliath moments, the bully, someone intimidating, someone saying, oh, no, you're not. Somebody pulling a wild card, taking the rug out from underneath something you thought was stable. Those little earthquakes that we keep saying with Uranus and Taurus. And now it's meeting up with this other kind of energy that wants to guide the world into a new direction, slow and steady and controlled. And it's saying, no. So there's a lot of feeling of like two or more very strong sides, almost like if you think of when dogs sit there and they pull on, you know, they're pulling on a rope, or they're arguing, they're pulling on a toy, and it's like they're both equally fierce, back and forth. It's like who's going to win? Who has the the stronger jaws, who's got the most tenacity. So, as I mentioned, we're already seeing this with you know, the Ukraine and Russia all over again. But interestingly, another sort of hopeful one, and we can also see this in a tiger year. This is very tiger to me. Russia stationed their ships outside of Ireland recently, and right along, I think it's some power lines or internet grid lines, which could be really detrimental if they, but it's also basically disrupting the fishing in Ireland. And that's what they took issue with. So the Irish went to the government and said, we're going to go out there and intimidate them to get away from our fishing. And they said, well, it's not a great idea. They did it anyway. And the Russians have moved. This is how passionate and ballsy the tiger can be. Sometimes it's going to backfire, and sometimes it's going to be brilliant, because who expected that? You know, that's what I love about Uranus and and tiger energy and Aquarius energy is sometimes, yeah, it's really difficult to deal with. Sometimes it's just tedious, stubborn, head-breaking kind of rebellious, splitting hairs, just to be different kind of vibe. And other times it's, oh yeah, I'm just going to do this. And they do, and they get away with it. Like, so they have that in them too. And maybe you have a bit of that in you. Maybe that's going to come out right now or this year. Maybe you're just going to surprise everyone with something, announcing something or doing something different. I think that aspect is hopeful, because sometimes you just need a little bit of that good rebel, not the angry rebel, the I'm going to spark some interest, the I'm not going to be afraid to move things forward, the innovative, the I'm going to take a risk and let's just try. If it's done with anger or bitterness or resentment, or I'm going to win and the other side's going to lose, then it's going to backfire. But if it's done in the other sort of cheeky kind of way, like the Irish just did, oh yeah, you get out of our fishing boats there, sir, Mr. Putin, get out. And he did. I mean, that kind of energy is beautiful. If you can muster the right vibe to do that, it's brilliant. It just bypasses all kinds of layers of red tape. So that's in the cards, you know, that's in the chart for right now and for this year. The other thing that's interesting is that Mercury Pluto, if we go back there again, this is in Capricorn. So again, very Mercury Pluto. If this was someone's actual chart, I would be like, oh my God, this person's just going to be so intense. They're so ambitious. Like, they're so ambitious that it's almost ridiculous. They also might be very intelligent and very powerful with their words, but they also might be very dominant and bullying with their approach and their thinking too. However, that is supported by our North Node up here, which you see, which is in the 7th house. It's the only thing that's above the horizon, is the North Node. North Node is the karmic direction we're all moving in, which is in the last couple degrees of Taurus, 28 Taurus, which would suggest there is some stability again. By the time you hit the last degree of Taurus, you want to say, I have my nice job, my car, my kids, my comfy, this and that, my savings account, my pantry is full, everything is not. So, and it's in the house of partnerships and sometimes marriages, but can be long-term partnerships in other ways too, committed partnerships, and it can also be open enemies. And the North Node in Taurus would want things to be, as I said, stable between those partnerships. The North Node in Taurus in the 7th house is very reliably committed. So then that makes all of the power and ambition of Mercury Pluto channels it into this North Node here. There could be some very strong voices for stability and peace. Wouldn't that be wonderful? So we could see some, again, leadership. We could see some people stepping up in your communities. Again, this can be microcosmic within your family, your community, your local world. People stepping up, speaking strongly, maybe a bit dominant, but if their goal is for ultimately for comfort and stability of all, which usually Taurus is, could be very helpful. Also, we've got something else in Capricorn here that is going along well with Uranus in the second house, which is more about finances and money, possessions. But Venus and Mars are together in Capricorn here. So we officially have what's called a stellium in Capricorn. It's a very Capricorn kind of energy right now and year, even though we're in Aquarius. So Venus and Mars in Capricorn. Talk about, again, the 10-year plan, the ambition, strategy, methodology, pushing hard, working hard, wanting things to move up the ladder. Again, yeah, a lot of that push in Capricorn can talk about wanting riches, wanting luxury, wanting to be the CEO of life, wanting, it can show sometimes some entitlement, but at the same time, it's willing to work on it to get there. Mars in Capricorn is very encouraging to me if this is going to be a chart of the year, because Mars is the most volatile, right, of the planets, even though Uranus is like the wild card that just comes and goes, shakes it up and leaves. Mars is, you know, passion or aggression and how we're going to go about things. So with Mars in Capricorn, it calms things down. It's the most self-controlled Mars. So you're going to get, again, bigger planning, more strategic planning, more long-term thinking and planning coming up, even though it's making a good aspect here to Uranus and Taurus. This could mean a few things to me. With Venus and Mars trine Uranus and Taurus, you could get people that are really strategically trying to plan long-term changes to our lives, to our daily routines, to our financial systems. I'm not going to weigh in and say whether they're good or evil, but you're going to have people who are certainly trying, and they're putting concerted work and effort into doing it. And they're thinking long term, not just, oh, well, that ought to work. It's not a gambling mindset. It's not a risky, not with all that Capricorn. But Uranus, yeah, they want to shake things up. So this is interesting, and all again beneath the surface. So it makes me wonder what kind of things have been going on behind the scenes for years and years that are suddenly going to show their head or show their face or say, oh, now's the time, let's do it. And it could apply to you as well. What have you been saving and not doing and not saying and not showing? Maybe it's a year where you're wondering about, is it time to come out and show my full cards? Is it time to launch or announce something? But if it is, it's something you've been thinking about a while. So the other thing that we'll talk about too is that this Venus, Mars down here are squaring off with Chiron in Aries. Chiron is the wound of yourself, of the self, and it's in the 5th house. This to me would be a side of you that tries to dominate you're trying to dominate yourself. You know, you're trying to be so on top of things or work so hard or think too far ahead, trying to get too much done at once. And whereas the Chiron and Aries in the 5th house wants to just have some fun. wants to be playful. It needs to be validated for its creativity. It wants to have some joy and play and romance. And the Mars and Venus and all that Capricorn is going, no, there's no time for that. Suppress that and let's just keep moving, because we have to make bigger changes. We can play later. So you might see that aspect play out in society this year too. I don't know yet. Or within yourself, maybe you're fighting against how much you're trying to do versus how much you need to have some light playfulness. And finally, we've got 2 planets in Pisces in the 4th house, which I find very nice. That's very comforting. So what does that mean? Jupiter in your 4th house. Well, oh, it's so good to be home. It's like, oh, it's so good to be home. You're cozy at home. You're getting along at home. You're feeling like you can escape into your little fantasy world in your home. Neptune adds to that as well in Pisces in your 4th house. Maybe there's somebody in the family or that you live with who might be escaping a little bit too much into their own head. Maybe they're locked in the room all the time. That would be the only downside of it, is like, is there somebody who's avoiding life by staying home too much, like too hermit-like, too shut in? Otherwise, if it's not on the extreme, it's really nice, because you might just be genuinely content to be around your family, your pets, your partner, your plants, your stuff. You know, you might find that your home is your oasis, and you can do a lot more creative thinking, dreaming, imagining, or making stuff, or music. It's a very nice feeling of atmosphere for comfort and cozy, spiritual, even feelings in your home and within your family and your close groups. So this year feels to me like the people you're close to will get closer, and the people that you see that it's not congruent, it could get more dramatic. It's already in that direction now. It's probably going to intensify, I would say. So try not to get too discouraged about that or combative about it, and really just embrace the people that you do feel the closest with, because all of that Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces, so much compassion for the people you're close to, so much compassion. So that's very heartwarming about this chart in this year. And even though it doesn't draw the aspect here, this Jupiter, you see it says 7 degrees and the rising sign is 12. So it makes an aspect to that rising sign. It fulfills that nice water energy of like showing compassion when you can, showing patience when you can, forgiving people, whatever extremes you're going to see when you can. It's really a beautiful vibe. All right, let's take a look at our tarot for this full moon, new moon. All right. I think we need to burn a little bit of sage. I'm going to just feel a little bit better if we do that. So just let this sage smoke, if you don't have any, surround you as it surrounds me. Cleansing anything in, on, or around us, no longer for our highest good, purifying our space. And I'm just cleansing the cards. All right, so let's see with the tarot if it gives us any extra insight to this new moon. For now and for the year. All right, so our first card is the Witch, or the Temperance card. So this is, you know, as I've mentioned in other readings, if you follow me, this card is like alchemy. It says art, but it's the Temperance card. It's this delicate mixing of elements of things in order to create the results. It's not dumping all of the cake mix and all the eggs and flour and milk and everything in the bowl all at once and expecting a perfect cake. This is about creaming the butter for a while, making sure that everything's at room temperature, the quality of the eggs, the quality of the flour, adding it slowly. It's about mixing things in just the right timing and just the right way. And a lot of the time, timing is not up to us, is it? We have our part in the timing, but there's people and other events and other things, even energetically, spiritually, that we can't control before we reach what we want. And so that's why I love this card, because it reminds you to take the pressure off of yourself and relax that there's a higher timing than yours. All right, our next card. Interesting, very good. Six of Swords. So the Six of Swords is all about science. It says science on the card. Precision, details, clean, sharp. You see the Six Swords meeting in the middle very delicately to a perfect point over this yellow cross. There's a circle surrounding it. It's held by the squares. It's got all kinds of lines in and around it. It's Mercury and Aquarius. This card is like the mentality of a surgeon. So when you have accepting that things are not on our timing, and then you have this precision, it's very interesting. Sort of tells me like, just keep working on mastering whatever you're working on in yourself, your skills, your knowledge. The time will come, that the right timing will come when you can implement it. It might not be now. So keep mastering things, keep refining things. And also Mercury in Aquarius stays intellectual, rational, and detached from things. Don't get emotional just yet about stuff. Very interesting advice. Oh, look at that. Nice card. Abundance, Three of Cups comes next. It's going to be worth your weight, whatever this is about. Things are going to flow in a better harmony because you trusted the bigger timing. This could be, celebrations, closeness with people, offers, could be weddings, parties, can be money that comes in, can be a flow of inspiration, can be just doors opening, door. So really trusting that higher timing is going to bring this abundance. Wow, this is encouraging. Oh, wow. Now we've got the Nine of Wands, Strength. This card is holding its position. The first wand is very strong. It has the sun at the top and the moon at the bottom in Sagittarius. This is an interesting card because Sagittarius is all about freedom, and yet this wand is like, it's cutting the other ones. It's keeping the ones behind it in place. So it's sort of like it's achieved something, and now it's got to hang on to it. It's got to maintain it. Thus the strength. So once you build up whatever it is you're working on, and the timing starts to flow, and the doors are opening, then you're going to be in a position of maintain what you have built. So it means, not just letting anyone come in and do whatever they want with you or with your project or in your life. It's not like batten down the hatches, don't let anybody. It's just keep an eye, to maintain what you have built. And usually it can maintain it, but it does tend to imply that there's a bit of work to maintain what you've built. So that's interesting. Then we have a Prince of Wands, which could easily be a tiger type of guy. He's larger than life. Look how fast he's moving. You know, he looks like he's coming in on a laser beam or something, a fire beam. And he's, you know, he's barely even sitting. He's just perched on this. He's barely hanging on to the reins. He completely trusts that whatever he wants is going to happen the way he wants to. And he expects it to. So there's a little bit of there's a lot of confidence in this guy, and there's sometimes some arrogance in this guy. But we also usually love this kind of guy in Hollywood. You know, there's all kinds of movies that would fit this guy archetype. Like think about, you know, when you see like a very cocky Brad Pitt kind of character, that's this guy. So not sure how he's going to play into things. We have this other message of like, maintain what you've built. Well, if this guy comes in, is he going to make it all about him? Is he going to threaten the establishment? Or is this you? Is he on your side in your favor? Then nobody's going to break through what you've built. You know, it's hard for me to say yet. And then we get the Eight of Cups. So we have a bit of a challenge because this guy has arrived. Eight of Cups is usually when you feel depressed and pointless and you want to throw in the towel. So I would say in this case that this Prince of Wands is probably a threat to something that you've built on some level. So you just have to be careful of your boundaries, how much you allow somebody into your life to influence you, your project, your thinking, your home, whatever it is. Your work, your research, because it goes awfully dramatically from all these good cards to, oh, screw it, you know, it's not worth it. That means that this person is probably trying to invade or steamroll or infiltrate. Otherwise, why would you cave so badly? So just being alert to this Prince of Wands guy. Huh. The Death card. You might be tempted to throw in the towel on something because the Death card's going to feel like, again, with the Eight of Cups, why bother? It's all over. It's done. But the Death card always brings something better in its place. So even if this Prince of Wands manages to do something to alter what you're doing or working on, or screws it up somehow, or the Death card means that if you have to let go, something better is going to come up afterwards. It's sort of a catalyst that's meant to happen. But let's see what comes after. And the Chariot. Well, see, that's an even stronger version in a way of the Knight of Wands. This is really like, look at the level of armor needed now. And this is consolidating. Look at all of them sitting at the bottom of the Chariot, just not moving, just sitting. He's got these huge wheels on his chariot, all this light behind him. He's got this disc that looks like he's manifesting from the cosmos through his solar plexus here. He's got this huge armor, and he's got these little gargoyle-like beings sitting there. Yeah, well, I'm not moving. Very frustrating, right? So the charioteer has to find a way with their leadership to rally them and motivate them so that they want to work together and pull the chariot where he wants it to go. So this sort of tells me that whatever you're doing or working on this year, whatever you think is like, you could hit a snag. You could hit a snag and it might feel like, oh no, it's not going to happen. I have to give up, or it's too hard, or this person But the death card in the Chariot is saying, no, 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 you're not giving that up. You're not giving up. You're reconsolidating your strength from a different position. You're in your leadership role, or you might bring in someone who has those abilities. You're not going to let that person throw it off. What a reading. Okay, and the last card is the Princess of Swords. We've talked about her many times. When she comes up, she's always somebody who makes things complicated. She likes to bring up stupid questions at the meeting. She likes to rebel against things just to get attention. She might just always be a mess. There's always some sort of problem or drama with this one. She's difficult to deal with. If you've got a Princess of Swords in and around you on your team and you have any control over it, usually I recommend not working with this person, because they're usually just the sort of the, lack of a better word, the shit disturber who just enjoys being the shit disturber type person. Or they are so unbalanced emotionally, psychologically, that they cannot be reliable. So if you have such a person around, they need some help. Try not to give them too much to handle. If you can't get rid of, if you can't let them go on whatever you're working on, or you have them around you, if you have any choice in the matter, don't spend a lot of time with them. But if you are close to them, if this turns out that, oh, this is describing my daughter, well, obviously I'm not saying get rid of your daughter. I'm saying if you're part of a committee and you have a choice, give this person something smaller to do that they can handle, because they're just not going to wrap their head around it and step up. But if this is somebody, vulnerable around you that you're close to, family, friend, they need some help. They need some guidance. I'm going to pull one more card just to, yeah, okay. Then we have the Princess of Wands. So she's also spontaneous, but she's also much more, well, she's very tiger-like too. She's even got a tiger. She's got the tiger's tail around her neck, and she's just flying towards the sun in this flame with her wand, and the tiger's just coming along with her, floating along with her, because her passion and will is so strong. Her hope, her optimism is so strong. So that might be the clue to, this consolidation thing of different people, is the one who is in distress needs someone around with this energy, someone uplifting, someone to coach, motivate, feel excited with, spend time with, be a companion to. That might be your best solution. If you're in a position of guiding a team around anything, or even if it's your family and you're like the intricacies of how to make things move forward, try to help the one in distress find the best ally. And then they will want to do things differently. All right. Wow, was that ever interesting? Every time these readings are different, aren't they? They're not generic. Yeah, that's one thing I'll just say. When you're with a real reader, and there's many of us out there who know our craft, and there's lots of people who don't know, that are just online trying to make a buck. When things go into detail, like you just saw, even though I've pulled these cards before, but I don't channel the same thing every time, do I? If you can read the description out of a book and it's a sort of a middle of the road generic reading, they're not channeling, let's put it that way. And they might not know their cards so well. If real readers have a combination of the knowledge of the cards and what they are also picking up from the combination of energies, and they usually go into some level of detail. That's all I'll say. All right, so if we look at a question to ask for your sign, it's a little harder to pinpoint But I keep saying the word leadership over and over this year, and I keep saying stuff about polarization and finding your tribes and your teams and your collaborators, your close people, the true matches. I think what I'd like to do more, though, is for each sign, just say, what do you need to do to balance your energy for February? We'll just look at February. How to hold yourself in the month of February, given the shift of year and the shift of intensity. I like that. All right. Aries, how should you hold yourself? What mentality, what energy should you hold yourself with for now, from February? All right, you've got the Prince of Cups. That would tell me you might be feeling more emotional or more confused. You might be having a hard time making some decisions or committing to things. Maybe something has sort of stirred you up emotionally this month. This would tell me that it's sort of a time to just let yourself feel what you feel and not worry about making any big decision in February. The Prince of Cups is very sensitive and he's too confused to, can you see? He's looking down at his cup and it's got a snake in there, which represents change. And he's sort of trying to steer this, trying to drive this chariot along the water, but he's so preoccupied with the snake that he's not even looking where he's going. Okay. The snake represents change, transformation. If you are feeling rumblings of different emotions coming up that you haven't felt in a while and you're not sure what to do, and you feel restless and you wish that it would just go back down and you knew how to just decide something and take it away, I would say that's not going to happen this February. Not yet. You really need to live your feelings right now. And don't make any hard, fast, concrete decisions. I'm feeling like wait till March or wait till your birthday before you really make a bold decision. Excuse me. Yeah. All right, gotta take some water, everyone. Sorry. All right, Taurus. How do you hold yourself? Well, so you have the King of Wands. For you, you need to hold yourself very strong-willed, ready to charge in. That Uranus-Pluto square, Pluto-Mercury square, is probably making you feel a little bit overwhelmed or unsettled. And the feeling I get for how to handle it is for you to be in your strong side, strong and firm side. Don't give in to the worries and the, isolating, staying home too much. Gosh, I don't know what's going on with my throat suddenly. Try to muster up that warrior side of you. Take some firm decisions about how it's going to be for you right now, at least for the next month, and stick with it. And I think through getting clear on your will and being a little bit ready to not fight, but a little bit ready to defend where you stand without getting, because this isn't really impulsive. He's stronger than that. He's charging into battle. He knows what he's doing. So if you have that warrior energy of like, I know where I stand and I'm willing to go in if I have to, but I'm not going to have to, sort of like martial arts, when the black belt knows that they know how to fight, so they don't fight, but they could. If you can muster that kind of strength and hold steady for February, well, a lot of things might be changing around us. All right, let's take a look for Gemini. How do you hold yourself? One second, I'm hearing something outside my door. All right, sorry for that. So Gemini, maybe what just happened will be a metaphor for what's going to happen with you this month. Little interruptions. But the card is the Four of Swords. It's a Libra card. It is the card for lots of communication and networking, but it also says truce. It's got all that nice green around the lotus flower, around the swords. Swords represent our ideas, and they can represent different people. And it might be a time when you're trying to make peace with maybe some people where you've had some friction. It could be a moment of coming to the table and talking things through. That can be anything with work or family, but it's everyone's laying down their swords, saying what they think in a calm way. It would definitely say it's time to let that happen. Let everyone come to the table and speak equally. Otherwise, it's sort of a nice card of like lots of connections and lots of networking that you might be doing. So pretty busy month for you. Lots of internet, lots of phone calls, it's going to be very busy. If you're trying to drum up work, could be a great time. If you're trying to build more new connections with people, could be a great time. Yeah. All right, Cancers. How do you hold yourself this month, Cancer? Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Well, we described the death card. It came up in the general reading. Just remember, the death card means that something that you thought was going to work a certain way doesn't, and you feel lost or devastated that something you counted on, something you thought was firm, isn't. And then very quickly, something even better comes in its place. So let me give a couple of examples just to reassure you. Now, the death card is very rarely an actual death, okay? I don't want everybody scared about that. It's usually a personal transformation, meaning something like, I have a trip planned and I bought my tickets and I've paid for everything, and then all of a sudden, maybe something happens to the hotel or the island I was going to, trip's canceled, and you're sitting there going, and you just feel devastated. You were looking forward to it. You had no idea anything would come along that could jeopardize it. Okay. You would go through a little death. Now, what the death card tends to do, though, because it's not the Tower. The Tower is when you've got more devastation and pieces to pick up, and it's not fun. The death card is more like within, a week or 10 days of your previous reservations, you get an offer from another island, another hotel, another deal, and all of a sudden you're invited to go stay somewhere even better than the first place. That's how the death card plays out. Maybe you're applying for jobs and you've been told, yeah, we're pretty much going to pick you. It's down to some final details. It's you. And you start feeling good about it. You're counting on it. And then they go, oh, sorry, we gave it to the other person. And you're like, what? You pretty much promised it to me. What are you talking about? Of course, you're going to feel like, what? Rugs pulled out from under you? What the death card would do, how it plays out, is that you would be offered a better job. More money, better position. Could be the same company, could be a different company. But very quickly, there would be a better offer on the table. So in general, I'm going to say, if you have anything that seems to shock you in February, don't feel scared. Something better is going to come in its place. And if it's in a more general vibe, you might just see a lot of so much change and transformation in and around you, people around you or in the world, that you might find maybe that's your death card moment. You feel like this isn't the world I grew up in. What the hell's going on? This is so crazy and surreal right now. What the hell's happening on this planet? You know, if it's if it's existential, then what it would mean is the death card will make you go through a mourning of the world that you miss or thought we had, but then it will bring a new vision of what life is about for the positive, because there's a lot of light in this card too. He cuts away the cords and he frees the figure below. The death card liberates us. It's just that it does it so quickly that we go into a bit of shock, but it's not a bad card. So Cancers, you might have a bit more of an intense month because of that, but don't fear. There's a good turnaround. Okay, Leos, what do you need to do with this? How do you hold yourself? 5 of Wands. And it's a Leo card, Saturn and Leo card. Well, you're also a fixed sign. So the square of Saturn with Sun, Moon in Aquarius squaring off Uranus and Taurus, Scorpio rising, Leo, you're feeling it. You're feeling some conflict around you. You're feeling you've got to go or someone else got to go. There could be a separation or an argument. There could be quitting a job. There could be a need to put your foot down and say, no more, I'm not working with this person. If it's a client even, you might be firing the client. The feeling I'm getting is that the friction has run too high and you've got to go or they've got to go. It's sort of that moment. And I think if you hold that space where you're ready to make a decision soon, again, probably not this month, maybe more like in March, but if you hold yourself firm, take the high road, be mature about it, and be ready to make a decision to move on, it's going to play out well. But if you start getting into every little argument, because this card loves to argue, don't allow yourself to be drawn into all the petty arguments that could be going on. Be ready to take a strong decision, and you're going to be just fine. It's probably overdue. It's probably time that you move on anyway, is the feeling I get. All right, let's take a look now for Virgo. Oh, very nice. Success. Virgo, you look like you've got all your ducks in a row here. I would say your month is going to be about get things cleaned up, get things organized and flowing the way you like. Whatever you like to do, if you want to buy some things to organize your closet or whatever, your books, your desk. If you feel like super cleaning things, if you're cleaning up your diet, whatever it is, it's got this real cleaning feeling to it. And I'm not saying it just because you're a Virgo. I'm saying it because this just has this lovely, like, everything's like nice and circular and everything's in place and everything's light and bright and clean. And it's clear what direction this is and what that's for. And it's like, that would be a great way to use this month. It's probably something Virgo does anyway, maybe as a coping mechanism, but it can be a wonderful time to get things sort of cleaned up and cleared and organized and ready. So I think you're going to have actually a very nice month. All of those Earth planets support you. Let's take a look now for Libras. What do you need to do, Libra, for this month? Nine of Swords, not an easy card. I think, Libra, you're probably quite disturbed by the level of emotional intensity and division that you see going on in and around you, in the world, on the news, amongst friends, amongst family. Some of it might be getting nasty. This card sometimes can be gossip. I would caution everybody about, every Libra, about gossiping. I would caution you about getting in the middle, because it's got the potential to turn really nasty if you get in the middle between people right now. This card can sometimes mean, it says cruelty. It can be mental cruelty, verbal abuse, bullying, gaslighting. Try to resist getting too embroiled or involved in anybody else's things right now. Otherwise, this card would talk about dealing with your own any kind of feeling of feeling like you're being mistreated, whether that's past or present. It would be a good time instead to sort of pull back and really take a look at, am I being treated fairly? Am I treating others fairly? And take some steps back if you're not. If you're revisiting old wounds and old betrayals, you need some time to step back and let that go instead of being in the thick of everyone else's polarizing debates. So overall, I'd say this is more a month to lay low than to be the peacemaker for now. As the year ramps up, probably pretty strongly, your time will come. Like the Temperance card we said, your time will come where people are ready to hear you and ready to meet at the table and listen. But I don't think that time is right now. So just lay low a bit from it, and don't let too many things or too many people bombard you or disturb your mind. Shut things off if you can't. Alrighty, so let's do Scorpios now. Scorpios. So you've got the grief card. So something is over. There's some losses. Something is over. We can feel the grief card, even if nobody's sick, nobody has died. But perhaps you're dealing with that. Scorpio is usually pretty good at that. But if you might need to allow something to be over. Could be a relationship, could be a dream that you had, could be a project that's not going to work, could be a place you live that you're like, this isn't what I want. There's February is going to be like being honest with yourself and allowing something to end, even if it seems sad, because it transitions you to the next chapter of your life. If you are grieving somebody, then, you might want to reach out for some help on that. Don't keep it all inside. And if it could be even something as light as finishing up a deadline that you've been working on for quite a while, finishing up a project and it's done and you're like, it's over now. What am I doing with myself? I poured everything into that. And there's an ending, there's a letting go. Also, I would caution marinating too much in what's going on the planet. If it's getting you down, if you find yourself grieving and sad, and it's not a direct personal loss that you are going through yourself, you might want to just watch. Don't let yourself sink too deeply down into that mood. It might be harder this month with everything changing so fast, but I feel like you need some rest and you need to talk to somebody, even if it's a good friend or somebody. Let people know how you're doing and relieve your mind. But I don't get a feeling of anything prolonged. But it could be, just an extreme sort of February blah kind of time. Sorry to say. So take really good care of yourself and just be honest. If something is over, it's over. Let yourself be honest and you'll start to feel liberated. All right, Sagittarians. How do you hold yourself? Well, show me the money. Sag, you are concerned about your finances. You're doing a lot about it too. This looks like sort of multiple tasks, multiple streams. If you are already making money, this could be adding some side gig, adding something passive income, investing, diversifying. If you need extra, it would suggest doing something again on the side. This isn't a singular, I'm going to quit my job and find a new one. It's multiple, you know, look at how many circles and discs there are and different directions there are. So this is a multitasking thing to get your needs met. We've got Venus in Virgo. We want things to be ship shape and detailed and accounted for and organized. And even though you're Sag, who usually doesn't roll that way, but for now, for some reason, it's got a real investment type of feel to it, or budgeting, or getting your financial house in order. And if you need extra, really go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. Do I need that subscription? Do I pay too much for this or that? Can I pare down? Can I add, you know, an extra thing that brings in a little revenue here or there? Can I diversify my work? So you're going to have a pretty industrious kind of month. There's a lot of things you're juggling, but I think overall it's good because the nine of discs says gain. It's one of the cards that represents wealth and money coming in. So you're going to succeed to do that. Money will be getting better for you this month. All right, Capricorn, with all of the planets in your sign. Let's see. That's nice. Ace of Swords. Clear-minded, clear directions. I know what I want to do. This would be so cool. I am doing that. Aha, the aha moment is going to come. That's nice for you because a lot of the time, the Capricorns I know are really constantly breaking their heads and worrying and wondering, trying to calculate and figure it all out, and want nothing more than to have something clear to throw themselves into fully. And it looks like something like that is coming for you. Something that will inspire you, or something where you say, you know what, I always want to do this. What am I waiting for? I'm doing it. And you're all in. It's not just, sometimes Ace of Swords is just the flash of inspiration, just the, oh my God, I want to do this, the clear, crystal clear idea, and then it just dissipates. But this time, with all those planets and Cap, I think you're going to follow through. I think you're going to just go, you know what, I always want to do, I'm tired of waiting, I'm going to go do, I'm going to carve out the room, and you're going to start. You're going to start quickly, running out of the gate. That's very nice because I know the last month wasn't so easy. This is going to be better. There's some clarity coming. All right, let's take a look, Aquarius, since we are also in your sign. So you will feel energized by the sun and the moon and Saturn all in your sign, and a bit challenged by Uranus, throwing off your routines a little, throwing off what you've got the Prince of Swords. You got someone around you who's too scattered. You can't really quite trust what this person says. This is sort of the silver-tongued charmer or salesman kind of guy. This guy is very clever, funny, interesting, doesn't usually follow through, doesn't usually hasn't really given an honest portrayal of himself. If you have him around and you don't have to deal with him or work with him, that would be great. If you do, and you're in a position of authority, you need to guide this person with firm parameters. For example, like if this guy works for you and you're their boss, let's say, or you've hired them to be your contractor or whatever have you, this person needs, I need you to do this by that day, and I'm paying you this in this form on that way, and it's in writing, because he's not reliable and he can be a bit manipulative. So you can, if you're in a leadership position with that person, you can keep them in line to some degree. If he's someone else and you don't have that kind of authority, anybody that is not matching what they say, you just want to walk away or let go if you can. And try not to aggravate him. I'm going to pull one more card for you, Aquarius, since it's your birthday month, and that one's sort of not 100% clear. Let's see. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So then you've got this guy who's Prince of Pentacles, King of Discs, sorry, Pentacles. Now he's the complete opposite. He's 100% reliable. He's like the rock. You can count on him. You don't even have to think about it. He does everything properly. You don't have to watch him. You don't have to micromanage him. You don't have to double check. You can completely relax because he's got your back. So that's interesting. That's hopeful that you don't need to keep the other one in your life. You can replace or find or rehire or whatever, and have the one that has your back. And if you need advice about the other one, if it's in your personal life and you don't have a choice, go to this guy and enlist his, or could be a her, but list the very solid person's advice and support and backup to deal with whatever situation. And it's all going to be fine. It just feels more like a frustration than a big deal. But somebody around you that's annoying or frustrating that you're going to have to deal with. Otherwise, that's sort of minor for your month. So overall, I'd say your month is going to be pretty good, if that's all there is to it. Now, Pisces, how do you need to hold your mindset? And you have the Justice card. Well, definitely some decision making going on. Definitely some weighing things, trying to understand or figure out where you stand or how you feel or what's fair. Sometimes this card comes up for legal matters. If there's anything involving legal matters or paperwork, needing to sign contracts, make things official, then you might want to do that. Otherwise, I'm guessing it's more probably weighing things, situations, or maybe even overwhelmed with what's going on. Where do I really stand on things, weighing the balances. So it suggests that you don't really worry about having a clear-cut decision or opinion yet. You don't have to sign any contract yet. There's a little window of time. And it sort of suggests, staying a bit more cool and calm and collected, and let yourself weigh things until you come to a decision that you feel really good with. And if there is anything that's pressing you to do anything on paper or get it in writing, obviously, don't wait on that forever. But if it's anything to do with ethics or what's right or what's fair or what's the real story or what's the real science or the real, what's really going on, and you're weighing back and forth, just give yourself some time to weigh things and stay chill. because you've got some nice planets helping you out in your sign this month, Pisces. For the whole year, actually, but for right now, you've got Jupiter and Neptune helping you out. Overall, it's pretty good. If anything, the Justice card can have like an elevated feeling where your mind is quite balanced and you're using your higher mind to really get to the bottom of something with, impartiality and maturity as to what's balanced and fair. So you might have a nice effect on other people around you because you're in a very good headspace. And happy birthday to you this month coming up too. Oh no, not quite yet. Sorry. Got a full moon first. Whoops. Aquarius, happy birthday though. Pisces coming soon. Anyway, as you can probably tell, I'm getting a little bit spaced out and fried from doing this channeling. I hope that this was helpful. And again, if you want to support my channel, I have a Patreon link at the bottom in the comments. And if you want to join my intuition group, or if you want a session, all the links are below. And just please like and subscribe and share. And happy Tiger year to everyone. Hope you all make the most of it. I hope you find that sense of how to hold yourself and make the best of this year with this energy for yourself and others. All right, take care.